Welcome to our next episode of
Fandom
Family
Chats.
This is a production of Family Fan Clubs on Facebook. You can find us all over Facebook. You can find us all over social media under Fandom Family Chats. Look us up, get dialed in, get plugged in, and get ready to listen to some crazy people talk crazy stuff.
Welcome to another episode of Fandom Family Chats. I'm here with...
Hey, I'm Bethany.
Hey, I'm Eve.
I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Josh, and we are talking 911 and 911 Lone Star. And oh boy, were these a couple of pretty
Ooh.
episodes. But it was nice kind of getting to see May in action there.
Yeah, that was pretty cool to see May in action. You know, the episode just starts off right away and she's on the phone and handling this call, and suddenly her superhero moment just kind of takes a little sour turn there, you know, because Claudette kind of does her thing and May's doing her thing, and May didn't like it too much. Personally, I probably wouldn't have reacted the way May reacted. She could have been a little bit more professional, but there are many times where I'm like thinking like Claudette could be way more professional herself. You know, she doesn't have to be patronizing. She's over there saying, "Hey, you got to be professional," and she's not doing that.
I think I would have been less professional. I don't know.
I can kind of feel May's frustration with her though, because with Claudette, I feel like, you know, she has her moments, and then she also has good moments where we're like, oh, good, she's, starting to get to a place where we can actually like her. And then it's like 5 steps back. It's like, nope, never mind.
Absolutely, every time.
It doesn't look like she's easy to work with.
Oh gosh, no, I can't imagine she is.
I probably have to quit after a little bit. I wouldn't be able to take that for too long.
I think the one thing that was so frustrating to me is that she was going on and on and on about being a team player and just, we're a team. And she's doing the exact opposite. She's taking, and I mean, even if she wasn't doing it for the glory, she's taking the advice and not acknowledging it. I mean, and I get it, when you're in a life or death situation, you don't have to acknowledge it. You don't have to say, oh, well, thank you so much for your, contribution. You know what I mean? No, but come on. She had enough time to say, no, shut up. When she could have literally not said a single word, just given her a thumbs up and then been like, and said that to the dispatcher, cut him off at the alley. And I'm thinking, no, this doesn't work. This does not work. It's just like, I don't know, very frustrating. And of course, that leads into a whole nother mess.
Yeah. We're gonna get to later, which, you know what, honestly, I didn't see that coming, and I should have, because like Eve was saying, you start to get some progress with Claudette and then you just have a setback, and I'm thinking this episode started as a setback, so we should have known there was a reason for it, and obviously there's a backstory that we didn't know about. They find each other in this horrible situation later on in the episode, and May's having to give this incredible pep talk, and actually it was kind of foreshadowing, because first, they're both essentially sent to timeout, the quiet room, but we all know it's timeout.
Who else loved that? I saw that and I said, oh man, I thought I left my work, at school today. And now I'm watching it play out on
like, I can't away from it.
Now I'm watching it play on 911, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like I was looking at, oh my gosh, who's the call center manager? What's her name again?
Oh, the one with the red hair?
Yeah.
Gosh, people are going to get so mad at us because I can't remember. I'm bad with names. I know what you're talking about.
That's this week's contribution. Let us know her name. Okay.
Exactly. If you're listening, please leave it in the comments.
This is a test for all of our listeners. If you know her name, just send us an email.
We're just kidding. We actually do know the name. We're just testing you all. That's.
But yeah, I was watching her basically lecture them and put them in this quiet room. And I was like, oh my gosh, is this how I sound when I'm disciplining, my kindergartners? It probably is.
That's awesome.
Well, in y'all's defense, they were acting like kindergartners. Well, at least it was like, what? Oh,
I don't know. I don't think May was acting quite like a kindergartner. I
no, that's what I
mean,
was gonna say. At least Claudette was.
Claudette was for sure, like 100%. Look, and I get it. May is our character, right? And we're supposed to be seeing things from her point of view. I
Yeah.
get that, but at the same time, golly, you got to be, it's I don't know.
It's your workplace. You need to learn
Be
to let things
professional.
go.
Absolutely. I do think that the little Zen garden was a nice touch, though. She was there raking the sand.
I know. It's
I've
like
always wanted one of those. They do seem very soothing.
just rake the sand, nothing else happened, just rake the sand. And then you get, the other side of Claudette again, the breakthrough side when she's having this, heart to heart pep talk with May. And you're thinking, okay, she's saying she's hard on her because she sees a potential in her and she's trying to give her some really good life lessons. And you're thinking, is this just another breakthrough? Does she have something else going on? Like what's happening, and it seems like the quiet room is working, is doing its job because they're starting to find that common ground again, of course. Little did they know what was awaiting them a few scenes later, but I just thought that the whole story was going to go back to the same flip flop, breakthrough, setback, and how that was going to somehow work into, May's storyline and the development of her character.
No, I know, and it was funny because you're seeing this pep talk with Claudette, and really it was kind of like the shoes on the other foot there for a second. You know what I mean? And I get it. I've never worked at a 911 call center. I've never worked as a fireman or anything else like that where it's extremely stressful. But I get it. Sometimes when you're a fireman, a police officer in the military, you gotta have thick skin, and you gotta learn early to have thick skin. And I get it. So that's got to be the same way with the call center. Even being an operator, because I can imagine you're getting all of these calls, right? And they're going to affect you, because you're hearing people at their lowest, right? I mean, that's when they're calling 911. I mean, nobody's calling 911 just to chat unless, you're not, in the right frame of mind, uh,
It's going to start weighing heavy on your heart if you
yeah,
take all of it on.
yeah. So you have to have some thick skin, but I almost feel like at a point there too, it's like Claudette maybe tried to have some thick skin and ended up, instead of having thick skin, just was super calloused, and I'm not trying to defend her in any way, but it's like I get her trying to how do I say, maybe convey some of that to May, but there has got to be a professional way of doing that. The way she did not. And I mean, we get it. We see the trauma that she had. I mean, the burn marks that she had. So I mean, she's got a history of, not just fire, but I guess, emergencies, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. So maybe that was one of the reasons why she's a 911 operator, because she's trying to help other people. But at the same time, it's just like, come on, you have to have a little bit of common sense, It's just like
Professional. And I think that would help it all the way around, it's almost like she's overcompensating. It's like, you have to, like you said, the thick skin turn to calluses, and calluses is not gonna cut it. You need to be, aware of your surroundings and in your other coworkers. And it's almost, like I said, it's overcompensating in the effect of trying to keep emotions out of it. Like she made everything more emotional. It's just, could have saved it if she just was more professional. I know I keep saying that, but
but May got her through.
yeah.
Sue is the name of the.
Sue, thank you.
We knew that.
Guys.
Tiffany knew that the whole time. She was just waiting to see if any listeners, caught on.
Yeah, so that's exactly what it was. That was your chance. Now you got the answer.
So if you were the lucky winner and you guessed Sue, you get bragging rights.
Bragging rights. That's your prize.
Bragging rights and our deepest appreciation
for playing our game.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes. Oh. But yeah, it was an intense time We just had, of course, we just had our intense name guessing game. No, I was kidding. But it's not only is all this going on with, May and Claudette, but Albert and Chimney, they're getting some intense moments as well, and some really close calls. This fire was definitely close to home for I think every character in it, but
Oh, no
definitely
joke.
Yeah.
those two were not immune to what was going on.
I thought for
Was-
sure that was going to be the end of Albert.
Me too.
Oh, me too. Was anyone else so thrilled to finally see Albert? Because was it the winter finale where we finally saw him like become a firefighter?
I think it was the winter
I think
finale.
it was, yeah.
Because I binged all the way up through the winter finale, so they all blurred together. But after he became a firefighter, and we came back from the break, I was so excited to see him. And then we didn't get much of him. Like we got him like during a handoff between like Maddie and G. But other than that, I was like, are we gonna see him like do any firefighting stuff? And then we finally saw him, and I was so excited. But as it turns out, that might not be going much further.
Yeah, we saw him several times. He just looked incognito because of his mustache. That was it.
I was gonna say, yeah, it felt like Albert didn't come back until this episode when he
He
finally
was there more than we think.
he was camouflaged.
I was not a fan of that mustache.
Nobody was. No. I mean, for most guys, facial hair is a good thing. Like it will change your life. But that was not the case for him. No.
He did not need that mustache.
Not at all.
So glad someone else mentioned that, because this whole time I've been thinking, am I the only one that wants him to get rid of that thing on his face?
No, absolutely not.
Horrible. I was glad he shaved when he came out. I was like, he shaved, like it's gone. So someone finally came to their senses in the makeup department. So
Like the critter on his lip isn't there. Where'd it go?
it was the alligator lizard. That's where it went when it crawled away.
Well, we needed a toupee for somebody. Yeah.
Who was just growing it? We can
I'm
use.
curious to see what he's going to do next, though, since he's not interested in being a firefighter anymore. I hope they don't get rid of him. 'Cause I
What if-
really like to see him stay.
We should totally just put him on the Twitter account now.
Right? Just have them switch jobs, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want Eddie in that job anymore. Just give it to Albert.
That would be interesting.
That would be very interesting.
I feel like Albert could do that job like easily. Like he'd be all over that. Like
I feel like we could have a whole nother spinoff with Albert working at the call center.
oh no.
I would watch that sitcom. That would be fun.
I would. Yeah.
I totally do that.
I feel like he wouldn't put up with anything either. Like, like Josh came with some crazy stuff or whatever like that. He'd just be like, no. Just
Right?
put up with it. Sass him
No.
right back.
I'm
So
hoping this is a way for Eddie to get back in, though, now that
Mm.
Albert's going to be leaving, because his spot will be open.
yeah.
And Eddie clearly needs to be there.
Yeah.
Especially after this episode.
Absolutely. Yeah, because they're going to bring him back, but it's just a matter of like when, and I think this episode was probably because you think and I know we'll probably touch on this later in the episode, but to see that whole sequence, of the 118 and Eddie's there, it's like, is this it? Is this finally, he needs to be back in that position, and you're thinking, have we finally waited long enough? Are we going to get who we're waiting for?
Well, I have had it up to here working at the call center. So this has to be getting close to the end of his time there, because once I saw him, in his element again, I was like,
Mhm.
oh, it's like the good old days.
Yeah.
I felt so relieved. I was like, okay, this is the Eddie that we know and love. Like, this is where he needs to be. He and Albert can just trade. It'll be great.
Be perfect. That scene where, and I think they even had like the camera shot like from below, like looking up, and he's got the jacket on. I think he's even got like an axe in his hand or something like that. And like there may as well have been like Avengers music going on or something like that. I just looked over at Beth. I said, "Eddie's back."
Eddie's back. Yeah.
It was just a beautiful scene.
I mean, the fact that he was working with Buck too just, made
Yeah.
the episode
Together again.
It's so nice to see them back together again. I'm really tired of just watching Eddie sit and tweet. This is entertaining.
Yeah, how much longer can he possibly put up with that job? Because it is obviously not for him.
No.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. I think that this episode is that moment because they like Josh was saying, Eddie's back. Like you felt that. Like it was so cool. Like he's not going to the job. The job literally came to him, and so I like and it was perfect too. Like, hey, we're gonna play another name game. What's his coworker? The one that didn't want to leave right away because she was helping the elderly man that got lost. He's giving him his coworker. She was giving him some advice. She says, "Hey, my mom, Linda. Is it Linda?
Mm.
Tiffany wins again."
Set it up.
She wins. She's cheating. No,
Google is a wonderful thing.
that's what Google is for. That's why it was invented. No, but I love the pep talk that everybody's getting pep talks. But I think hers was like the most simplest, but it was so profound. She's like, "Hey, my mom gave me this," and Mother's Day, everybody's singing about mom. Hey, my mom always told me back in my 20s, you can. I can't even. I should have memorized it or read it quote, but you can try to do all these different things to try to pick what you want to do, but at the end of the day, God's the one that's going to tell you. And he's like, "Well, yeah, I haven't heard God yet." Like, why hasn't he not told me anything yet? And not that anything negative that happened was God doing it, but it was God uses anything and everything. So here's his voice literally through the fire, talking to him.
I think he's done that once before. Maureen will get that reference.
Burning bush. It's just his whole burning call center, But I think so. It was just so profound of Eddie having this opportunity to jump back in with the 118 that I can't imagine like next week he's gonna go back. Because even after he's walking out and she's like, "God has spoken." He's walking out in his whole gear. They're all together. They're like, like Josh said, the Avengers, and it just felt like he was like solidified with the family again, so I can't see him not putting that gear back on and jumping on that truck next week, even if it's not everything official, but there's no way he's taken 2 steps back again, to the Twitter page because Albert will be there.
I have the Avengers music running in my head right now. It's stuck there now. I shouldn't have said it because I'm seeing that image like of him just standing there. I don't know if he had a hammer or an axe in his hand, but that's the way I see it.
So if Josh starts spacing out during the rest of this recording, we know what's going on inside
Avengers is playing inside my mind. Yes.
Eddie does not need to be a guest in that house anymore.
No.
I think his time there is up.
That was so good. That was so gratifying.
I love it.
Wasn't it? And he's like, today you're a guest in this house. I was like, oh, he loved that too much.
He so did.
And I am here for it.
Didn't
earn that.
He did. He absolutely didn't. Even Josh say something like, "You've been holding on to that for a while," or something like that.
That for months. Like he knew. We all knew.
That was awesome. But it was true though, and I think that's how Eddie has felt that whole time. It's just one of those things. These people are family adjacent. They work with the people that he works with or worked with every day. And these are the people that kind of control what happens and where they go. So they have to, know each other to a certain extent, but they're not the family.
It's not the same. It's not the 118.
I just wonder if Bobby's gonna finally see that maybe Eddie is ready to come back.
I think after this he will.
I mean, Bobby had quite a experience, so I don't know, maybe he's seen the light and he's, ready to be more charitable and letting Eddie come back. Who knows?
That'd be
I
awesome.
was so terrified for Bobby. I mean, the second they told him that May was still inside, his face just like, I'm like, not again. Seriously.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking too. I'm thinking Bobby is literally thinking, not again. I mean, like I can guarantee that's what was going through his mind. I'm just like, this is not fair. And it was so funny too because it was obvious, but yet it wasn't at first. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, May is in trouble, right? You know what I mean? Okay, so we get it. It's a fire. He's a fireman. He deals with this literally every day, right? It's just he's saving people all the time, but not always saving family. And then, of course, having lost his family in a fire. And it was so funny because it was, I think, what was it, Bethany? Like we were watching it together, and then it was just like maybe like 30, 45 seconds afterwards. I said something like that, and he's like, I said something like, "Oh no, Bobby has to go through this again," and then you reacted, and you were like, "Oh,
yeah," because it didn't click right away. The same thing. Oh, it's danger. It's May, and now he's going through. But I didn't put it together that it was literally the same scenario. His family in a fire, and he's thinking, not this again, not again, that it's the same story. And I didn't put that together right away, aside from just him being concerned for her safety. So when he said that, I was like, oh, like it hit me, and it just like now the whole scene and the whole storyline just had such a deeper meaning, and it just was crazy. And of course,
hats off to him, and because I mean that I mean obviously losing his family is traumatizing, and he's had a lot of time and a lot of people and a lot of help, from that point to where he is now. And obviously that has brought him to where he is, obviously, but to be in that situation again, that's got to be hard. That's got to be triggering. I don't know any other word. You know what I mean, other than triggering. I mean, he still has quote unquote PTSD from that. I mean, you're never going to get over that, and then to be put in that situation again. But it does show that when you have a good support system, when you've got family, when you've got friends, when you've got, I guarantee you, he's probably still sees a therapist. So when you've got that support system, how vital it is. And then that goes back to Eddie also. You know what I mean? Eddie's not unredeemable. We saw that this episode. Eddie is capable of getting back out there, capable of protecting his family, capable of protecting people, which I think is awesome.
That's going to be a good example for Bobby to see. Hey, he's getting back into it. He's starting to be capable now.
And then I don't know. It was so funny because I don't mean funny, but it was just, I don't know. It was, to me, it was like, yes, they finally get them out. And really, I laughed because when they're pulling, when they're getting May out, and he starts like hammering at the wall, I said, oh, he's going to Kool-Aid man this thing. And I'm like, and for those of you that don't get the reference, back in the, I guess, 80s, you had the Kool-Aid man, and he would literally like just run through a wall in a commercial, right? I think they recreated that and everything else like that. I'm sure a lot of our audience knows that reference.
If you don't know what we're talking about, then pause this podcast.
Go look it up.
Kool-Aid Man commercial.
And then come right back. Don't leave.
We have more games. No.
we have more exciting things happening. Come back.
We do.
Yes.
But when I saw him, I was like, oh, he is gonna Kool-Aid man this thing. And sure enough, there he goes. And so you get through all of that, and then literally they drop the house on him. I was just like, oh, really?
I think I was holding my breath for however many minutes it took for them to finally come and rescue the two of them. Because as soon as they were rescued, I was like, oh, I haven't been breathing. Okay.
I mean, Bobby is just so protective of May. It doesn't matter that she's not his blood. He sees her as his daughter. I mean, it's his family now. And, just the way that he went in there without even slowing down till he got to her. And then when the roof was falling, just threw her right under him so he could protect her. I love their relationship that they have. And you can tell that May feels the same way about him. Because like in the hospital, she was concerned about him.
Well,
I like the way she yelled at him. You're getting this test.
Yeah, I was like, oh, she gets that from her mother. That's fun to see.
That was 1,000% Athena. I was like,
Oh, yeah.
Mhm. No, and I thought it was a sweet moment too, like when they're getting him in the ambulance, and what she calls him dad. And of course, the first thing he just says, "Oh, you don't have to lie to them. It's okay." It's like no, she's not lying.
not lying. Like,
But I thought
it,
that was really sweet of him too to react that way. It was just unpresumptive. Just I'm not using the right word there, but you know what I mean. Just like very humble. You know what I mean of him. I think to just kind of be like, oh, you don't have to lie to them to just come. They're they'll let you
just
through or something.
like, hey, you're just, yeah, exactly. To not overstep, but to, think it really is, she really does think of him as a father, and I guess he didn't want to feel like he was pushing that on her,
Yeah.
but they've been a family long enough that, I mean, just the way he feels that that's his daughter, I mean, she already feels that way. So it's a very sweet moment to be like, I'm not lying. Like, you're my dad. That was so sweet.
And we take a huge turn. Like I was not expecting this, and it almost still doesn't feel right to me. Like it just does not feel right. Like all of a sudden they just throw this out there, and Monday is this supervillain.
Yeah.
I mean, like, hello.
I mean, we all hate Mondays, but this was like Monday. But really, I know Monday really did try to kill you. What?
Yeah,
good
I mean, quite literally.
That's good. That's clever. I like that.
I think Monday tried to kill me. No, yeah, it's true.
Monday really tried to kill you.
Exactly. It's crazy. Like, where did that come from? It was like so out of the blue because she's coming in and something happened just by the feel of them rolling Claudette in. You already had the okay that she's going to be fine. And then I'm thinking, did she die of shock or something? Because physically she was fine, but that she had all this trauma. Did it
Mhm.
just get to her? Did she have a heart attack, some sort of episode that triggered her death because she couldn't cope? Or what's going on? And you're thinking, is she really going to die? They're working on her. I didn't think they were really going to kill her for a couple of seconds there, but you knew something was going to happen until they cover her with the sheet. And Monday's like, huh. And so it's so weird because it's so confusing because you're not thinking Monday's a murderer. Like, that was way out of left field. He had already seemed to have some kind of peace and resolution
Mhm.
with his place within the show, with the other characters, with the audience. It felt like you knew there was going to be more to his story, but you figured that he was finding that, oh, look, here's another character, in this other house, and you kind of got to know the captain a little bit, and you're thinking, yeah, these are just kind of like side characters that we'll see here and there.
Yeah.
Never, I think they were going to make him a main villain. Even when Hen was looking at him confused and perplexed, I was feeling perplexed as well, but I didn't have all the suspicions that she was having,
I'm excited for where this whole mystery is going because I think it's going to be really interesting to watch.
Mhm.
But on the other hand, I feel like it came too fast.
Yeah,
They
absolutely.
they haven't really given us enough time to really get to know Monday, which
Mhm.
at first I was looking at the notes, by the way, and I was like, who the heck is Jonah? It's Monday. But, but yeah, we didn't. It would have been nice if they gave us more of a chance to get to know him. I
Yeah.
mean, they didn't even have to focus on him too much. Just show him a lot more often and then introduce the storyline. But it came. So while I'm excited for it, I wish we cared more about the character that
Yeah.
this whole thing was centered around.
Well, I think he's truly a red shirt. And again, I'm using another pop culture reference here, Star Trek. Look that up, then come right back. But uh I get that, and I feel exactly the same way. I feel like it just came out of the blue, but it almost cheapens it because it feels like he's just a disposable character. That's what I mean by red shirt. It's just like he came in and this was his purpose, and we're gonna move on in 2 episodes. And it's just like, eh. So I agree with you. I think like if we had a little bit more invested in him and liked him a little bit more, this would be a lot worse. Imagine if it was Buck.
Oh Oh my goodness.
I'm
Or
gonna get
some
letters for saying that, aren't
oh,
If
and
it was Buck, that would make me very sad to know that storyline was coming up.
everybody would be like, "Oh well,
It's all good. Saw nothing.
just turn the other way."
Like, oh, it's Buck. Okay, never mind.
It just makes side characters. I'm
Like,
kidding.
he's good.
I'm sure they deserved it.
We're probably bad guys anyway. Where it's okay.
And not to rehash everything with Claudette, it was funny because it's just like it really was crazy because we had that kind of resolution, right? Where she goes through this horrible thing and she's describing, what it feels like and everything else like that, getting burned alive, and I mean that was traumatic. I mean, and it resolves, and you have this, and at least for me, you got this hate for this character, right? That they've built up intentionally, and then you get to see that backstory, and you still really don't like trust them, but you like, I hate you, but I understand why I hate you now. It doesn't make it better, but it's kind of is what it is. And then all of a sudden they just kill her off. I was kind of left scratching my head. I'm like, I
Like
gotta
that.
process this. I gotta think about this for a minute. We got resolution. Now she's dead, but I still don't like this character. Now they're no longer gonna be on, and I'm like, I'm conflicted.
Yeah. Exactly. And I'm thinking that's why she was so frustrating at the beginning of the episode, because you're
Yeah.
thinking, oh, they're going to kill her off later. So it's kind of fueling that. But I think it's kind of what the audience had on a certain degree what May was feeling, because here's like her arch enemy that she's almost making peace with, and now is dead. And it's like, even though it's her arch enemy, she doesn't wish death on them, but now she is. So it's just all kinds of raw feelings in that, and so I think it was that way. And again, she was a red shirt the whole time. We didn't know that, but I think what you're saying is that would have been cool if we had that same kind of shock and awe and connection to a character, like Eve
As
was
we
saying
did with Monday, yeah.
Monday. If we could have had that length and that contact with Monday the way we had it with Claudette, it would have maybe flowed a little bit better, not felt so forced, not felt so, unless his storyline continues, like once they capture him and it's progress, like maybe they're having to testify against him, or he gets out and it's like with Athena when, the other guy was chasing, hunting them down, and the longevity of the characters that way. But it still happened too fast. We need
Yeah, we
that
don't talk about that guy.
progression. We need that progression. Yeah.
Well, we might get some sort of answers next week because the preview looks pretty interesting.
Mhm.
Penn tells, everybody that she's got suspicions about Jonah. And it looked like in the preview that he comes up from behind her and attacks her, which is kind of terrifying, but
I'm not okay with that.
no.
Neither am I.
Leave my people alone. Like, don't sneak up behind Hen and attack her. Come on.
I agree. I mean, I admire Hannah a lot, and to think, I don't know why, I just feel like she's not the type of person that would let herself get snuck up on and stabbed. But I guess it's a possibility. I just don't see Hannah that way. But I don't know. I guess that's what's happening.
You could tell they didn't really like each other from the start. So I think this is just kind of continuing that on.
And you know what? Maybe that's why she didn't like him from the start. She didn't know, but she just was getting bad vibes from him because he was a very bad guy. She just was translating that as, hey, he's replacing my best friend, and just kind of dismissed it. But,
She has good instincts, so.
Well, they gave him the worst nickname in the world.
he lived up to his name. Yeah, he could have come on a Thursday, so
Then Monday, the silent killer.
Yes. You'll never see it coming.
Man, then we move on to 911 Lone Star.
Ooh, coming over to Texas. I actually have my Texas Yeti, so sort of planned, not really. I just randomly grabbed it and realized, oh look, it's the Texas one. Just ready for Lone Star. So.
Gotta represent Texas.
There you go. Yep.
I
Oh.
liked this episode. It was nice to get to see, a bit of Owen's background.
Yes.
Normally, I'm not very excited about episodes of 911 where we don't get any calls, hence my complaining about the 500 episode long winter storm thing. But this episode, I was like, I love this. It was a really great episode.
It was really well done. It's funny because I guess, we finally get a little bit into the inside of the mind of Owen, and it makes total sense now why he's in fire and rescue. I mean, absolute sense now. And I mean, you don't ever truly recover from something like that. You learn to live with it. And it just, I think it's just expressing itself in one way. And it's funny because we're seeing Owen's, how do I say, mental health journey. I think a lot in these kind of last few episodes. We're seeing the aggression. We're seeing the different how do I say, interpersonal relationship issues that he's having and stuff like that. And now we know where it all stems from. Even pushing people away in certain ways, I think has a lot to do with like the abandonment issues, just even with his dad. I mean, it seems like they were gone. I mean, he even says that.
Nice finally seeing Owen's backstory, because one of the things I love about 911 is all everybody's origin story.
Yeah.
And we don't really get too much of that, or we haven't had much of that until recently on Lone Star. But I mean, we got it a few episodes ago with TK, and now we're finally getting it with Owen. So it's nice to get that backstory so we can really understand why these people are the way they are.
I mean, there's so much that is just explained away in that one scene. And I know they were kind of making it seem like you're not supposed to know who the kids are, but just knowing the theme of the episode, you could figure it out.
Oh yeah.
But it opened up, it pulled the curtain back, and you could finally see Owen and what has brought him to who he is today, and even back then you could tell he was Owen, and he was wanting to help and do what he could, and he was trying to think on his feet the way he would as a fire captain, but still he was just a kid, and he was a traumatic experience. And you definitely, like Josh was saying, you realize why he does what he does. And I was really holding out hope that his brother was going to be okay, because I knew that Chad Lowe was going to be in this episode, so I was thinking they're going to save his life, he's going to grow up, it's okay, and I was really holding on to that. And it was kind of sad when that wasn't the case.
Yeah, I thought that too. And then they said he died. I'm like, oh.
Wait a minute.
What? They were sitting in the hospital, and I was
confused.
like, I can sense something bad about to happen, but they're not going to kill the brother because he's supposed to be on later. So
Yeah, Pablo's coming out. Of course he's going to be fine.
my brain was just very confused in that one scene. I was like, I don't understand why this is happening.
They were being very sneaky with the writing in this episode. Yeah, I thought the same thing too, because obviously seeing the previews and the articles that everything was going out, I was like, oh, cool, okay. And I'm thinking, these are them. I mean, this is him. This is his younger brother and everything. But of course, obviously, that wasn't the case. And it's funny too. You have both of them there, right? And they have just opposite views of the same person. But one got to have the family life, with the dad and and everything else, and the other didn't. And so you just see that difference in how the importance of perspective, but also being there makes that difference, in that family dynamic. And it was so funny. But the moment the lady came in, I forgot. I guess it's the brother's mom. I mean, I guess it's the lady that his dad married. It was like, oh, okay, never mind. Yep, I get it. Same person. That's the other wife. That's the kid. It's just like, okay,
Yeah,
it made sense. And it was funny, but it was sweet too, that the fact that the advice that he gave him was what needed to happen. You know, and so it was kind of just like everything aligning for that to happen, you know, and it was funny to see, you know, when I say funny, I don't mean funny, but, you know, just like ironic and crazy to see that, hey, you know what, it's coming from the person that had the life that, quote unquote, Owen, I think, feels like he got robbed of, giving him the advice that he needed at the right time. So in some, how do I say, cosmic way, things lined up and filled in those gaps.
I loved seeing too the connection between that and then his relationship with TK, because that gave me a lot of aha moments, because the way he is with TK, I mean, he loves his son and he loves his son hard. And I mean, seeing, like, understanding his relationship with his own father, you can absolutely see why Owen is so much about, you know, loving his own son.
No, I think he's seen the he's felt. I mean, obviously, the impacts of his dad not being there, and that's why he's wanting to do the best that he can for TK. And obviously, he's not perfect, but I think Owen's trying to do the best that he can. And of course, he's talking to him, and of course, you know, he doesn't realize that he's hearing him, and of course, he makes up in, you know, in some way, you know what, I forgot the exact words that he tells him, but no, in other words, he lets him know that, you know, he was proud of him and that he knew. What did he say? He goes, Owen Strand of what did he say? He said firehouse. He knew the firehouse that he was serving with, so he was following him. He knew who he was, and I think that was nice.
Yeah.
Did Owen know that was his half brother when he was sitting there having that conversation with Robert?
Not at all.
I was under the impression that he didn't know who it was.
Because I mean, when he first walked up, Robert was standing there beside their dad in the room. So I didn't know if he saw him and he knew while he was having that conversation or not. I was a little lost on that. I like their talk though. That was really sweet.
I don't think he did, because I know that when well, you know what? I got to go back because I saw the episode again today, and I don't remember him seeing the brother. He saw the wife, the lady, but remember
he was standing on the other side of the bed beside the father.
Besides the father in that same, yeah. So I didn't see that, but I did see when the lady was standing besides the bed.
And I was wondering that too, because I mean, obviously, I think it was Helen was is Owen's dad's new wife or current wife. Obviously, she recognized him, so she looked up. You could tell by her reaction, but there was so much family around. It could have been, did she tell Robert that's Owen? Go talk to him. Was it just coincidence? And because there was so much family, did Owen actually realize that he was talking to was one of the family that was surrounding his father? I don't know. I was under the impression that Owen didn't, and I was trying to figure out whether or not Robert did.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that either.
Exactly. It's gone either way.
Yeah, I was a little taken aback by his stepmom's reaction to him being there, because what I was expecting, I don't know if maybe I'm crazy, which, you know, it's always a possibility, but what I was expecting was her to say, "Oh, you're Owen, aren't you? No, we've been waiting for you," or I don't know, something much kinder than what actually came out of her mouth. So when she said, you know, I can't remember the exact words, but they weren't very kind.
What are you doing here? Something like that.
Like, what are you doing here? Like,
how dare you?
Yeah, and I was like, whoa, that's surprise, and how dare you? Don't talk to my Owen that way. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
It struck me kind of odd. It made me feel like there was some bad blood there, and I felt like it really wasn't fair. And obviously not applicable if Owen's father is not feeling all of these, you know, hard feelings towards Owen for the situation. Why would she be that way? So I'm wondering if they're gonna dive into that or not.
It does make me wonder if there's some bad blood between Owen and his stepmom for some reason. And like what that could possibly be, because that is an interesting reaction coming from someone who you've never met before.
Yeah. I mean, that's his father. He has a right to say goodbye to him.
Yeah, I have to think that maybe the stepmom had been told some not so great things about Owen, or maybe they've had interactions before that weren't so great.
Well, my thinking is that I can only imagine that she is seeing the broken version of Owen's dad. That's who she met. And all of that was because of, well, not necessarily because of Owen, but I can almost guarantee you that they were pinning it on him. Didn't watch his brother, or at least that's the way that it kind of seemed to me. So it's like he was the root of that family falling apart and the root of the damage that was done to the man, as a father. So that's kind of, how do I say, it's not a fair opinion for them to have, but that's kind of what it feels like they were having, because at the same time, if that had never happened, she would never have met, you know what I mean? They would probably still be a family, and everything from there.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not a 100% fair assumption, but at the same time, I have a feeling that's what it is. It's like they're going to blame Owen for what happened.
That's how I kind of took it also, because you think, Owen's father obviously had that unconditional love of being his father, to realize, hey, it wasn't your fault. You were a child. Sometimes bad things just happen. Forgive yourself. Forgive me for letting this happen. So he had it, the unconditional love of a parent. Those were the eyes he was looking through. But they did actually, that's the impression I got too, that here's the stepmom, and she didn't have that connection to this child to look at him with love beyond all of the craziness and be like, hey, this wasn't your fault. You were a kid. That thing happened. And it made me feel like she was maybe pinning it on Owen, which was kind of weird because he was just a child. She's the adult in the situation. So she should be the one that's mature enough to realize, hey, whether or not you have a history with this kid, look at it for what it is and not out of resentment. So, and that's how it kind of made me feel that she was looking at the situation. But I'm wondering too if maybe, it's been since Owen was 13 that this happened. And I don't know. Obviously, judging by Robert, he's already a grown adult. So he's, Owen's dad and Helen have been together for quite some time. Did they try to reach out? Maybe it's the opposite. Maybe she was trying to make amends and make healing and maybe have a relationship with him. And maybe either directly or indirectly, he denied that, he rejected it. And maybe she was just feeling like she was at the end of the rope, like, hey, what are you doing here? Like, I've already done my part. Like, we've been, but even still, if that were the case, you think that she, prodigal son, open with open arms. Finally, I've been trying to make a connection with you and you finally come to me. You think that she would want to, make that, connection with him, unless she just was so hurt by his rejection that she already closed herself off to him. But I don't know. I'm hoping that they're going to show a little bit more of that. I think we'll probably see more of Robert and his family, and it's a great opportunity for crossovers because they live in Los Angeles.
Ooh,
but
good point.
So I'm really hoping we get to dive into the backstory of that whole thing, because you can't just give us this and drop it. We got to know.
I know. I hope so too, because we got Chad Lowe and I saw him. I was like, oh, there he is. This is so cool. And then the episode ended and I was like, is that?
There he goes.
Away he goes. But yeah, just to tag on to the end of your what you're saying about the stepmom, it's like, regardless of how old Owen is, he's a grown man, obviously, in, not some episodes, but, he's a grown man. Regardless of that, you're the parent in the situation. You're the adult. Like, your feelings are your feelings, but they don't have a place in this man's reconnection with his father.
Absolutely. She was the adult when he was a child, and she's essentially, she is the adult in this situation too, because even though he's a grown man, his placement is the child, and she is his stepmom, so it is her responsibility.
This isn't Disney. No
This
evil
isn't
stepmothers.
Stepmothers aren't evil here. It technically is Disney, but
Oh wait, that's right, it's ABC. No, it's Fox. That's right.
Fox.
Yeah. Well,
This
Fox
is Disney
owns my
adjacent. Not Disney.
There you go.
Evil guys, okay? Oh man.
But then we get to see a different father-son story with Judd and Wyatt.
Oh my goodness.
That was crazy, though.
I loved it. Well, I was so excited to
Yeah.
finally see Wyatt again
Yes.
because I was, the last time we saw him was the first time we saw him, right?
Yes, I think so.
We
Yeah, yeah.
haven't- This is the first time we've seen him since he was introduced, right?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
I was excited to see him, and then he's picking him up at the police station. I was like, oh, well, this is a fun start to this part of the episode.
That escalated quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, there's Wyatt, and he's been arrested.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're waiting for him to come back. We're finally going to see him, and that's not how we left him. It was a happy kid, a nice happy family, and then all of a sudden he's in, like,
I will say this though, knowing that he was in jail, a part of me in the back of my mind going, "Yep, that's Judd's kid."
That was my thought exactly. As soon as I saw him pull up, oh yeah, that's Judd's. That's for sure Judd's.
Yeah, and then Judd was pulling away. He was like so furious. I was like, dude, you're raising yourself right now. Like, this is so you. It's like, this is karma.
It's all those times when the parents were like, I can't wait till you have a kid. Well, here's that day.
I can't wait till you have a kid who's just like you, and then I can say, told you so.
And there's his grandpa, told her, or Jed's dad, told you so.
I was so happy to see Judd's dad. I love him so much. But I mean, I love him from One Tree Hill. But so I saw him and I said, oh, Whitey's here. But yeah, I was so relieved to see him. I was like, oh, he's going to make everything better. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
I have never seen One Tree Hill, but I do know him from a bunch of different other things that he's done. He's a great actor. He always plays that kind of character. I don't know what he does in One Tree Hill. I'm assuming it's similar kind of.
Very similar kind of character. He's very typecast, but he's just so good at it.
I own it, right?
That interaction was cool when they finally bring him out there, because I love and not to skip right here, but I love the part where he gets on the horse, and of course your grandpa's like trying to well, you need to do this and everything else like that, and boom, the kid just rides off perfect. It's like, did they not know his mom's a barrel racer? I mean, that's how this happened.
I'd forgotten about that at first. Like, he just took off. I was like, oh, he's really got a knack for this. And I was like, oh yeah.
He's been on the horse since he was 8 months old. Yeah.
He knows a little bit about horses.
Just a little bit. Yeah, that was so cool though, to see them. And then out on the ranch, and because last time we saw Jed's dad, there was a little bit of drama, kind of concern, and then they get the happy news because he always wanted to be a grandparent. That's all he talked about, and then he finally gets the news that he's gonna be a grandparent, and so we leave him on a happy note. But now we get to see him living out the dream. He was like, you used the G word, like I can't say no to that.
That's the kryptonite.
Right. Which was so cool to see, Wyatt falling into that and or blending into that, like, hey, grandpa and dad, to have that and to see how much he appreciates it. And of course, we hear the backstory before of why he was lashing out and what he felt. And
I do love the way Grace was like, you're calling her right now.
Yeah. I mean, Grace always, the voice of reason. She was like, you get that woman on the phone right now, Judd. And I was like, yeah, do what Grace says.
She's like,
She's just the kind of person where she says something and you just say yes, ma'am, and do what she says. Like, there's just no other option.
You don't doubt it. You're just like, there you go.
I agree, like 100%.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I'd like to see Wyatt in action this week, though. I mean, watching him take charge after Judd fell off the horse, he was just moving right along, knew exactly what to do.
Hey, The Walking Dead. I mean, it's as realistic as it can get,
Yeah.
What can I say? It teaches you how to be a prepper and fight zombies, and I guess patch up compound fractures.
Yeah, and Judd woke up and he was all ready to tell him what to do, and he's like, "Oh, you mean the one you're laying on?"
No,
Okay.
it's perfect. His proudest moment, his most painful moment, but his proudest moment. Oh,
I
that-
did love how the rope snapped because it's like that's perfect. It's like it's not all like the movies, okay? You know?
I laughed hysterically when that happened. I was like, "Of course." Well, he started taking off with the horse. I was like, "This is absolutely not going to work." And then the rope snapped, and I was like, "Well, there we go."
there's that.
If you have ever been to a rodeo, they have the scoop races, right? And back in the day, they would tie a rope to a horse scoop, right? You know, when you pick up the manure with, and then you would literally hold on to the scoop, right? If you were small enough, if you were a kid, you could sit on it. If you're an adult, you would just kind of hold on to the end of it, and that horse drags you through the arena, right? Well, it got real dangerous, and so they started building these mats, and then you would just hold on to the mat, and it would still drag you around the arena. Well, if you're not holding on tight and not holding on like even, and you're moving somewhat fast, that mat's gonna flip, and you're gonna start doing tumbles in the dirt. So it's kind of a good thing that maybe that rope broke because man, he put some pressure on that horse that if he had taken off, Judd would have been flipping a couple of times, and that would not have been good.
I'm a little sad that we didn't get to see that, though. Maybe it's good because then I would have said, "Oh, crap, now he's even more hurt than he was."
Maybe not with a broken leg.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel for the comedy. Let's just do that a different time let's circle back to that. That'll be fun.
That would be an excellent callback. They're in a rodeo somewhere. Be like, "Hey, Judd, you want to do the scoop race?"
God, no, thank you. I've paid my dues on that now. Oh, geez, yeah. And then the grandpa comes driving up. Now, he obviously didn't have any means of communicating with him, did he? But I guess he just shows up, so it was perfect timing.
I was really confused on that whole thing.
The horse. Judd said the horse would go back to the.
Oh, Judd.
That's
But I
what
don't know where he knew how to find him unless he was just driving all around the property.
Maybe so. Maybe he was, yeah, because he was out for quite some time. He woke up. How long was I out for? It was quite some time. He built all that stuff, so it could be that it just took him that long to get to him, and they're just searching all over, or if they have a particular trail within the property.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very possible that he'd even started looking for them before the horse.
It's true because they could have been gone a while.
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, I forgot about the horse. I didn't think about that, and I should have realized that because they always end up going back home. And I was kind of confused. I actually had to rewind that for a second there because I was like, I heard the noise, and then I had looked away because I was watching on my phone, right? I had looked away and I didn't see the truck drive up, right? So I'm like, did we skip something? Did I miss that? You know what I mean? It was funny. I was like, oh, okay, no, I guess he saw them, But I think it was pretty cool though. I think that was a good bonding moment for all of them. I think including the grandfather also. But it was so funny because I think they start this story with him with Wyatt, and it feels like, oh, okay, great. Well, here we go, just another rebellious kid, right? This is the way it's gonna happen. He's gonna be the problem child now. This is what's going on from forward. And it's like the exact opposite is starting to happen. Like even when he's like, "Well, I didn't, splashed water on you because I didn't want to slap you." You know what I mean? It's just like he's showing a level of respect. Of course, yeah, that was funny, and I'm sure he just didn't want to do that. But at the same time, what was he saying? He was like, "I'm not mad at mom. I'm not mad at you. I'm just, felt like it was so, like you guys are so cool." And I'm thinking,
I went my
that
whole
was
life knowing how cool you are.
exactly, and it was so funny because I'm thinking, this is the exact opposite of what I thought they were going to do with that, and it's just like, no, this kid does have his head on straight. Yes, he's, how do I say, expressing himself in ways that he shouldn't be, but I thought that was cool. It's just kind of like, he's got a good head on his shoulders, I mean, he almost got Judd completely out of that situation. It took a little bit of grandpa's help, and I just, it was a good bonding moment at the expense of Judd's leg.
I know.
When I break my leg, I want someone to write on my cast, Oh, not when, if. Let's not put
Oh,
that in
boy.
the universe.
Yeah,
If
just
I
put that out
ever
there.
break my leg,
Break your leg.
I want someone to write on my cast break a leg. That's
Again.
funny. That was comedic gold. I was like, that is just perfect.
That was
Hilarious.
really ironic. Yes.
Like, been there, done that. No, thank you, not again.
Now, do we know exactly who wrote that on there? On his? Did he have that?
His
Did
dad.
Jeff- Was
His
it?
dad,
Just dad.
because then he said, just be thankful I didn't write break the other one.
Oh my god! See, I missed that. I'm glad you said. That was beautiful.
Yeah, because Judd looked at it and started laughing, and then he looked at Wyatt and said he wrote broke a leg. And then his dad said, I could have written break the other one.
I think they're all
Oh, that's awesome.
the grandpa, Judd, and now Wyatt. It's like they're just 3 stages of the same person. So it's so fun. And I love
Yeah,
how
that's
they
true.
keep the theme, like, with it 911 and 911 Lone Star, like this week was family and, finding that family and almost like solidifying it. The 118 had their moment of coming together, and now you see Wyatt and Judd. It was definitely a bonding moment. You knew it was coming, and you knew that this was going to definitely make it happen because it was such a traumatic experience. But you got to see them truly become father and son and grandfather. So you got to see that happen. You got to see a family being built, I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but just coming together and being solidified, if you will. But
Yeah.
it's to see that happen, and I'm so glad that Judd's an awesome character, and to see Wyatt seems to be following in his footsteps, just salt of the earth, and it's nice to have that like level-headed, even though they don't always, use their level head.
Don't say voice of reason, because Judd is not the voice of reason. No.
I was gonna say no, not the voice of
That's what he married
Grace
Grace
for.
That's exactly right. She completes him.
She
I-
completes him.
I do have one complaint though. I get it, Wyatt's a vegetarian, but like, why did it sound like they were all becoming vegetarians now? Because like,
solidarity.
oh, man. But I will say this: I have not had jackfruit brisket, but I have seen it. There's a lady in San Antonio that has like a taqueria. She makes tacos, right? I can't even say it right. Taqueria. Thank you. Uh-huh.
Makes tacos.
That's our next game.
See, Josh knew that he was gonna butcher that name. He just moved on.
I just kept going. But
We canceled this game. She's just gonna make tacos. That's all.
exactly. And they make them out of jackfruit instead of like brisket or barbacoa. And oh my gosh, it looks absolutely amazing. It does. So I would try that once, but I don't know, man. I don't know. That's
I did get a kick out of, Judd's dad. He's obviously, your typical, Texas man.
Mhm.
And his grandson is making him try a jackfruit taco. And he's like, what the heck is this?
Only the word grandpa could have persuaded him to do
If
that.
it just had some ham and eggs in this.
Isn't jackfruit the stinky one?
No, jackfruit's the big one that has like all the smaller pieces in it. Like honestly, like 3 or 4 years ago, they were saying that was supposed to end world hunger because it's so easy to grow, and then like 3 pieces are like 3,000 calories, so like you can have a whole day's worth of food.
And just eat the brisket.
All right, that's true. See, that's the thing. There's no meat in it, but jackfruit is high caloric.
I guess it's more of the fact of just not having meat.
having the meat.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it even looks a little bit like meat.
Oh yeah, when you cook it up, yeah. I mean, you can't tell the difference.
I mean, I've never had it, but like I've seen people on TV cook with it apparently. And it does look like real meat. Like, oh, that's interesting.
For our vegetarian friends out there, I'm not slighting you. I think those barbacoa tacos made of jackfruit look awesome. So
I would definitely try that. That sounds good.
Try it one time, and if I didn't like it, I would never eat it again, but at least I'll have tried it.
I've had a burger made out of a portobello mushroom once instead of like the hamburger patty, and it was insanely good. So I can imagine how like the jackfruit would be amazing. I'd still have my brisket on the next taco, but I definitely try it.
I'd rather have that over tofu because at least it tastes like something.
Yeah, tofu. I mean, if you put that in like a stir fry, maybe. But if it's like Chinese,
Yeah, I have a friend who's vegetarian, and one time she mentioned, "Oh, well, you've probably never had it cooked right." And I'm like, "Is there a right way to cook tofu where it actually tastes good?"
just give me the soybeans. I just put some salt and some butter. Well, can't do the butter. Some salt, then. We'll just stay with that. Maybe some olive oil.
Here you go.
Josh is not very good at being a vegan here.
No.
You're really making me want to try being a vegan.
I'm a 300-pound Texan, so what do you can expect?
I tried vegan once for 30 seconds.
So next on cooking with FFC.
Yes.
We started our own cooking show accidentally.
We can cook it with FFC. We'll have to run that by Maureen, see if she likes it.
We'll have to create our own cookbook just like they did with the Gilmore Girls, all the favorite recipes from all of our favorite fandoms.
All of Bobby's recipes that he cooks for the firehouse.
Oh,
He seems to be like a really good cook. I want some of those recipes.
Mhm.
I love them.
I'm not a fan of sushi, but like the other day when we were talking about that episode where he had all the fish, I give him props because that's not easy. I mean, it seems like it's simple, but it's not. Again, not a fan of sushi, but props to Bobby. You did a good job.
Let's hopefully he'll make some jackfruit next time.
Oh boy.
I'm excited to see next week's episode because Owen does not punch somebody. He gets
What?
somebody else to punch him.
The Owen growth.
It looks good.
That is growth, yes.
Mhm.
There's still
Yeah.
violence, but it's
But
growth.
it looks like it's for good reason because this woman, I don't know if her car ran her over or if her husband ran her over in the car. I'm not really sure. That part was unclear. Either way, she gets run over by her car. But before they take her to the ambulance, you can hear her tell them, "Don't let him take my kid," because he abuses them. So I like Owen's train of thought here. Get the guy to punch him, gets arrested.
Oh, there you go.
Can't take the kid. See, so it looks like Owen's actually doing it for a good reason this time. I'm really excited to see it next week.
Unless it just happened and he lucked out that it caused something good. He was acting on impulse and it just paid off this one time.
I wonder if the paperwork's the same, getting hit versus hitting somebody.
Well, Owen is impulsive, but he does think things through for the most part. I mean, the things that he does have good reason for, at least when he's on the job. Punching his punching a bunch of people when he was off the job, maybe, that wasn't sound reasoning, but
I just want him to get better so we get Amy Acker back faster. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah, when they broke up, I was like, wait, no.
Yeah.
You make things right. She can't leave.
Yeah.
She better be back.
Oh yeah.
I mean, she told him to call, but I mean, he's got to get it right. That's just, he needs to like have a picture of her like everywhere, so that way he's constantly reminded. Talk to your therapist, go to church, you do yoga, something. I mean, he needs to come back.
And at least in the meantime, we'd still get to see pictures of Amy Acker. So
Yeah,
Exactly.
there you go.
everyone wins.
Everybody wins. Great idea.
Yeah, she'll be back. You don't hire Amy Acker just to write her off like that. Yeah, she's got to come back.
She's a big get. You don't bring her on for a handful of episodes and then
No.
send her away.
Yeah, no, that didn't
We
happen.
saw her at a Comic-Con in, what was it, Denver? Or was it?
I think it was Denver. Yeah.
Did we see her more than once? Maybe we saw her more than once, but I can't remember. Like, just an amazing person. Like, really sweet, really nice person.
Very sweet.
That's nice to know.
Hey, we can add her on to our
We can have her on the podcast now. Amy, we want to say hi.
Amy, we know you're listening, so just come join us on the
We'd love to
podcast.
talk to you.
We'll talk about our favorite vegan recipes.
There you go. If you have any vegan recipes, you can share them.
We're gonna have to do a recipe episode now, I think.
Yeah, we definitely need to have that.
Well, this has been another episode of Fandom Family Chats. I have enjoyed this time. If you are enjoying these episodes, I mean, let us know. You can find us on our Facebook page. If you don't join the group, please do. I mean, it's awesome if you're not already joined. You can also find us on, we have Instagram.
We have Twitter and TikTok.
Very cool. I don't think you're going to see any TikTok dances from us, so don't worry. If you want to follow on TikTok, it's going to be good. So, and all of them can be found under, the chats under Fandom Family Chats. And of course, you can subscribe to that on all your favorite podcast services. Until next time, I'm Josh.
I'm Bethany.
I'm Eve.
I'm Tiffany.
Y'all have a great one.
Bye.
Bye.
For our listeners craving more, you can search for all 16 of our groups on Facebook by searching Family Fan Club. Come on over and join the conversation. You can also find us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok under Fandom Family Chats. We try to always make sure to have something that will entertain. Of course, we'd also love your feedback, the good and any bad. And you can provide that by emailing us at familyfanclub2021@gmail.com. Keep an eye out for our website coming soon, where you'll be able to buy FFC merch and merch about some of your favorite TV shows with some favorite sayings and images. We're also working toward hosting a Comic-Con style event in 2024, where some of your favorite fandoms, cast, crew, and fans alike will come together for a fun-filled weekend. You can find those announcements on our website coming at you soon. Keep watching and listening, and as always, don't forget to share and subscribe.